Okay, boss. In the last class, we started with HANA database, and we've seen about how do we create a table with UI, or we created with schema. Then we went on with how do we create database table with UI or SQL. It could be column store or row store table. Then we've seen about global temporary table and local temporary table. When you say global temporary table, the definition is global, but the content of the table will be local to that particular session alone. And when you say local temporary table, the definition and content both are local to that particular session. But while creating local temporary table, the table must be prefixed with hash. When you're creating local temporary table, must be prefixed with hash. And when you're creating local temporary table can be created only from the SQL statement. You cannot create it from the UI because it does not exist in the global. But if you want to create global temporary table, you can create with UI. You get into the further properties and then you set that as what? Global. So you can create with UI also. And then we've seen about when creating table, you can set up auto merge to be enabled or auto merge to be disabled. Then we've seen about how do we enable the unload priority. Like the higher the unload priority, it will be unloaded earliest from the RAM. Now we're going to discuss on partitioning. We're going to discuss on partition. See, there will be two things I told you. One is database partitioning and what? Table partitioning. Now what we are focusing is on table partitioning. Let's say I have a database table. I would like to partition this table. We know this? Even in BW, we used to create partitions on the queue. We should specify from this month to this month, and I want some 12 partitions or 4 partitions, all this. Yeah. Same way, even in HANA, we can partition the tables. There will be basically 3 types of partitioning. One is hash partitioning, range partitioning, and round robin partitioning. Hash partitioning, round robin partitioning, and range partitioning. Okay. Now, first one, hash partitioning. Hash partitioning is always done on the primary key columns. You'll have 3 types of partitioning: hash, range, and what? Round robin. Hash partitioning is always done on the primary key field of a table. Let's say I have a table, I have a primary key in it, and hash partitioning is always done on the primary key column. You're the jacket key get. Okay. And when you say hash partitioning, let's say I told you when you're installing HANA server, you can install with single host or multi-node architecture also. Now, when you go with you're not able to hear. What about others? Are you able to hear me? You just check problem. I think it's fine. Okay. Okay. So when you install HANA server, it could be single host or multi-node. Okay. When you go with multi-node, will you have multiple index servers? I told you index server is one which actually manipulates your database. When you install your HANA server with multi-node architecture, we're going to have multiple index servers. Like in BW, when you go to SM51, how do you find multiple application servers? Same way, you will have multiple index servers. Now, I will show you this. If I go to this administration, and if you go to landscape, you see, I see the services. What is this I've got? I've got only one. And if I go to the host, I only have one server, one node, single node instance. But if I install with multi-node, then I'll have what? One master, and I'll have multiple slaves. Let's say I install with 4 servers together. I'll have one master, I'll have 3 slaves. from each of the server, I'll get one index server. Then you'll be in the services, you'll see what 4 index server. One says index server master, index server slave 1, slave 2, slave 3. You'll have 4 index servers in that case. 4 or 5 depending on your configuration. Then when you say hash partitioning, what I'll do, I'll say partition this table based on this primary key field and the partitioning type is hash, and then say number of partitions is equal to number of servers. If I have 4 index servers, then what it'll do? It will basically create 4 partitions, and each partition is stored in one index server. That's the hash partition.
In which scenario will take this hash or this partition?
Hash. That's what I'm saying. Say you have huge amount of you have a huge table. If you store the table in one index server, and all the processing pressure is on single index server. If you want to do load distribution, what I'll do, I'll distribute this table content among multiple index servers, and when you fire a query, pressure is put onto all the index servers. You'll have processing done in index server 1, index server 2, index server 3, index server 4. Then the results are grouped and given out. So when you want to do a load distribution among multiple server instances, then I'll go with what? Hash partitioning on the table.
Where do we do this load?
I'll show you how to do the partitioning on hash. I'll tell you, but for me, I have only one index server, but still I'm just creating. But in the real time, you'll have multiple index servers, and you do hash partitioning where you split the content of a table into multiple parts, and each part is stored into different servers, different index server. That's how it is. And then you can deploy load balancing. You can basically put the pressure onto multiple index servers. Yeah. Okay. So how do we do this now? I'm going to show you with SQL first. So this is my column table. This is my column table with employee ID and employee name. And what is the primary key in this table? Employed. So I can do hash partitioning on what? Employed, only the primary key column. But if I have multiple columns as primary key, then I need to use both the columns to do hash partitioning. If I have a table with composite key where let's say 5 columns are primary key, I must leverage all the 5 columns to do hash partitioning. I'll say partition by what I'll say. I just use this command, partition by hash. And what is the column you would like to leverage? Employee ID. And partitions, I'm saying what? 4. I myself am restricting it to 4, but instead of saying 4, I can say, I can use this function, server num. When I use server num function, it depends on how many number of index servers do we have. Based on that, it creates so many partitions. If in server num, it creates only one partition because I've got only one index server. You can dynamically leverage the function server num, which returns me number of index servers in my case. If not any server any partitions create, I can use that function. But now I'm just saying only 4. But preferably this will be used when you have multi-node installation and you want to split the table into multiple parts and each part is stored into one index server. Okay. You just create this way and you just select insert some data. You'll see the table. EMP hash is my table, and you see this icon. You see a lot of space between the column. It means the table has been partitioned. If I say open the definition, if I go to runtime information, I would see here. If I expand parts in the sense partition, this will tell me partition specifications. Hash partitioning, number of partitions 4 based on what? Employee ID, and expand this. I see 4 partitions here. Partition number 1, 2, 3, and what? 4. And if you see, there's something like record count. In partition number 1, I've got 1 record, and partition number 4, I've got some 3. It does splitting does automatically. We cannot control where this record has to go into partition 1 or 2. Depending on the availability, it splits that. For each partition, you can see how much size has been allocated. Every partition again will have main table, delta table again. Same like column store mechanism. Every partition will have main table, delta table. And when you do delta merging, it affects only the partition where there is new set of data being inserted into the partition. A partition like కొత్త data insert చేసినా ఆ partition కే merging జరుగుతుంది. It does not do merging for every partition. Every partition itself is like a table, separate table. Okay. And one more advantage of partitioning is, like say, maximum size of a database table is 2 terabytes. And if I want to go with the table more than that size, what I can do, I can partition this table into 4 parts, and each part will have the capability of having 2 terabytes. The limitation of 2 terabytes is for single table or for one partition. So if you create 4 partitions, each partition can have 2 terabytes of data. That's all. Okay. That is again another flex. It improves your reading performance and enables you to store more data, and also improves the performance of delta merging operation, because when you do it merging on the table, it does perform delta merge only on the partition where there is new data being inserted, because every partition will have main and delta table. That's how we have to go. Clear? Okay. This is your hash partitioning was, and you have something called range partitioning also. Now, what is range partitioning? This is what you've been doing in BW. Like say you take an year, and for each year of data, I would like to have one party. Let's say I've got data for 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And each year data, I would like to store in one partition of the table. Then I can go with partitioning by year, and I can use range partitioning. Let's say I would like to partition the table based on month wise. Say for January, I need one block. For Feb, I need one block. For March, I need one block. And then I can go with range partitioning. Preferably, you can go with month or year. Preferably, you can go with what? Month or year. Now look at this. Again, I'm showing you this range partitioning being done with what? SQL again. Sorry. See here, I'm just creating a table, create column table. What is here? Table name is range part, and I've just got column like order ID, order date, net sales. And my primary key is order ID and what? Order date. Both this order date and order ID are both are primary key. When you want to use certain column for range partitioning, that must be part of primary keys, even here. When you got to use some column for range partitioning, that column must be part. It may not be fully qualified primary key, but it must be part of primary keys. Okay. So I say partition by what? What is hash or range? Range, and which column I would like to use? Order date, and this is my partitions. I'm saying you can give range partitions, you can give single value partitions also. Now look at this. I'll say partition from January 1st, 2015 till 1st of June 2015. Less than this, is less than June 1st and greater than this January. I'm giving a range here. First partition, I'm specifying range from January 1st, 2015 till what? 1st of June 2015. I'm just creating one partition, comma, and the next part I can also specify partition with single value also. I'm saying partition value is equal to 15th August 2015. There's one single date. There will be one block with single value like this. You can have a partition with range. You can have a partition with single value. And for rest all, I can say what? Partition others means what? It also creates one more partition which stores all the data which does not belong to either of those partitions. So if you have some data which belongs to December, which does not belong to either of those partitions, we'll get into what? Others here. Like this, you can also create rest of partitions also. Yeah? So I just create this table, and I should see a table here. Range part. This is my table. I'll say open definition. If I go to runtime information, see I've got partition 1, 2, and what? 3. First partition range is what? Jan 1st till what? 1st of June, and next there's one more partition where explicitly equal to 15th August, and the third one is others, and here it says range, order date, and so on. So star indicates what? Others. Okay. But as of now, the record count is 0 in all these partitions. So let me insert some data. I'm just inserting something on 15th January, and then there's 15th March, and there's something what? 15th August, 15th August, sorry, 2015 కదా. 16. So these two will go to first partition because they fall between the range Jan 1st to June 1st, and this gets into 15th August 2015 is what? Is it the second partition? And I have 3 more records which says 15th August 2016, which does not satisfy either of those parties. They'll go into what? Rest of the partitions. Good. You see, I have 2 records in that and 1 record in the August 15, 2015. The rest partition I've got 3 records. Like this, the data is split across. So in this table, I have got a field called date. So I was basically using on the date wise. Now, apart from date wise, can I also use partition on month wise? Leveraging date, can you derive month first? Now, in the table, I have got date. Based on the date, can you derive month? Yeah, we'll have a function called month of, through which you can derive the month. And based on that month, I would create the partitions. Now look at this. Same way, again, I'm just creating one more table. I've got same table. Still, I'm going to leverage partition by range, but only thing I'm saying what? Instead of using order date directly, I'm using a function called what? Month of order date. Months what? Month of order date will give you month of the from the date. Yeah? And then based on month, I'm saying partition from January 2015 is only month, and June 2015. And then for August 2015 is one partition, rest. So by using this month function, I can even though you have a table with the date field, by leveraging month function, I can create partitions on months. Same way, if I use a function year of, then I can create partitions on year wise also. This is my range part month. If I get into the definitions, it says month of this. If I expand, I see from what is you see month only. Calendar year month was year end month 2015-01 till June 2015 and August 2015 rest was. And I'll come for fiscal year. You don't have it. It's either month or either your year. That's it. Insert values and save out. So all these will get into first partition. This is second, and then this is your third. Where is this record account? 2, 1, and 3. Like this, you can go with month part. Similar way, you can see year of. So what did I show you? I've shown you about what is hash partitioning, what is range partitioning, and I've showed you about creating those partitions with SQL. Same thing, we can create partitions on table with UI also. You don't have to worry about writing so much of big SQL statement. I can go with UI, simplified. So what I will do is for range part UI. First, what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to create a table. That's it. I'm not creating any partition. I'm just creating a table with the SQL. Now you get a table. Range part UI. This is the table. I would like to create partitions, but not with the SQL statement. I would like to create partitions with UI version. How will I do it? Now look at this. You don't get that option. Normally, when you right click on this tables folder, you don't, When you right click on the table, you don't find any option like table distribution, nothing. Okay. You have to right click in the context menu of this tables folder. You see some option. What is this? Show table distribution or When you right click on the schema, you still get that option. You can leverage either of this option. In the context menu of the schema, you get option like show table distribution, or in the context menu of tables folder, you get this option, show table distribution. Either by using either of these options, you can start initiating the partitioning on the table with the UI. So I'll just prefer it on the tables folder. I'll say what? Show table distribution. You start, see, you right clicked on this folder and said table. So it's going to show me all the tables of this folder. Now select the table, which one do you want? Brain is not any table you select, it will be showing those partitions if it is created already. But if I select this range part UI, do you have any partitions created? You have not, we don't have any partitions. I'll have to create my partitions now. Right click on this table and say what? Partition table. Now it starts taking me to an UI where I can start specifying all the partitioning. Now look at hash. What is it? First thing is what kind of partitioning do you want? Do you want to go with hash or range? Hash center, you want to split the data equally to multiple nodes, multiple server nodes, then I'll go with hash. When I want to partition based on the date wise or month wise, year wise, then I'll go with what? Range, the concept. Okay. Now let's say first one I would like to go with hash, then I'll say hash. And then what is the number of, now it says, if you select this data point, what does it say? Number of partitions equal to number of hosts and time. Depending on number of, that is like partition server number function. It's like if I have 4 number of servers, it creates 4 partitions automatically. But now if you OT on the go, it creates 1. So I want to go specify the number, I'll say what? Or you specified some number and you can say I want 5 or 6 or any number you can specify. Okay, and then say what is it? Next. Which column should I use for see, it's showing me only the key columns of it. It is only showing, but when I'm going with hash, should I use complete qualified primary key? I'll say order ID and what? Order date. I'll say finish. I said number of partitions is what? 5. So if it is table select just if I expand, you see, you start seeing 5 partitions. I can either go to the table definition, runtime properties, I can see the part. Either way, you can see that. Okay, this is one. And let's say I'm creating one more. I'm creating one more table. But I would like to create partition this table with range, not open. Sorry. Tables folder. I'll say what? Show table distribution. Range partition UI. Right click on this table and say what? Partition table. Now I'll say what? Is it hash or range? What do you want? I want to go with range partitioning. Then say what? Next. Now it says which column we would like to use, order ID or which one? I said I want range partitioning and then leveraging which columns. If I don't use any function, it will be what? YOY, MMDD and TN. What is it? It's a date because I'm choosing a field of date. If I'm not using any function, it is straight up using date for partitioning. If I drop down, I can say year of function or month of function, which will say if I use month of, then leverage month of the order date and enables me to do partition the month wise. If I say year of function, it enables me to do partitioning on year wise. I'll say year of that function. You can specify, can I specify range and can I specify single value? Yes or no? Range into between from value and to value. I can say add partition 1 in the 2000, then 2005. I want one more part 2006, 2010, 2011 till 2015. A partition, I want one more single partition only for say year is equal to 2016 and single partition. Say finish. If you see this table, it will have partition 1, 2, 3, and 4, and what? 5. 5 is what? Max others. This is about creating range partition. Okay. Then there's something called multi-level partitioning. You also have an option called multi-level partitioning. I have a big table. Okay. First of all, I would like to split this table into each index server first. And I would like to do which partitioning was? Hash. So using hash, what we have done, we have split the content of a table into each different index server. Within each index server, I would like to partition on the year-wise again. First, I would like to partition my table into each host. So I want to create, I've got 4 servers. I would like to split this table into 4 partitions where each partition is stored into one host or one server. Within each index server partition block, I would like to create further partitions on year-wise. That is called as multi-level partitioning. First, I want to do hash partitioning. Within each hash partitioning, I would like to have range partitions created. Okay, that is called as what? Multi-level partitioning. Clear? First partition, partition, sub partitions. That is called as multi-level partitioning is also possible here. Okay. Let me create one table. I've created a table called something like range part multi-level. I'll say what? Show table distribution. Select multi-level and right click and show what? Partition this table. First, I would like to go with hash partitioning where I echo choose echo. 4 partitions, 4 partitions I want. Then do you want additional level of partitioning? Yes. First it will be doing hash. Okay. Now within each hash I want again additional partitioning of what? Range. Okay. Next. It'll ask you what is the first level of hash partitioning, specify the columns. I want to go with order date and order ID and order date. Then it'll ask me to specify second level of range partitioning, which is on what? Order date and then say what? Year wise. Echo I'll say 2002, 2015. Go partition equal to 2016. Solve. And say finish. Now, if you look at the partitions of this table, first you will see 1, 2, 3, and 4. What is this 4? 4 hash partitions, and each partition again has got 3 partitions IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And expand this. Partition 1 lo 2002, 2015, 2016 others. Again, partition 2 lo 2002 to 2015, 16 and others. Again, 3 will have 3 partitions and 4 will have 4 partitions. It is multi-level now. First, you have done hash partitioning. With each partitioning, again, you can create sub partitions also. That is called as multi-level partitioning. So you have seen hash and you have seen range. Only hash and range can be controlled with the UIL here. I said there's one more partitioning called what? Round robin. What I will show you.
Is there any functionality like explicit?
And that look.
If you do like year-wise partition and the client requires like all the holidays should be dumped into one holiday.
Then you have to go with the date-wise. Then you'll have to base, it says if all date-wise, if you want to make a partition, and then you have to go with the date.
No, first data should be dumped into year-wise. Again, we have to retrieve from.
Then it is what multi-level range partitioning. First, he'll say, first I'll split up on the year-wise. Again, within each year, I would like to split date-wise. Then it will be what? Multi-level partition with both levels are range I'm using. I can do that. I'll come to that point. First, let me finish this, then we'll discuss. Then the next one is round robin. When you say round robin, you basically split the table into multiple parts. But how each part is, what data does it store in each partition is controlled by the application running on this HANA database. Let's say you create a table, and when you create a round robin partition, let's say you create 4, or it does not depend on hosts. You can create a number of partitions. But what data is stored into which partition is controlled by the application which is running on HANA database. HANA is not controlling this. It will be controlled by the application. Let's say there's an ECC application or BW application, some Java application which is running on HANA database. Through programmatically will control what data should be stored into which block. That is called as round robin part. But in the hash ante server batti data equally divide అయిపోతుంది. range అంటే డేట్ బట్టి డివైడ్ అయ్యి అట్లా ఎట్లా కాకుండా నాకు ఇలా ఉంది బస్. సో ఐ హ్యావ్ ఎ టేబుల్. ఫస్ట్ when I load data to this table, I would like to store into partition number 1. Then in application, when I do some process, it has to take data from partition 4 to partition 1. Like this, my application must be segregating. It has to distinguish the data based on the partition blocks. Then I would go with what? Round robin. Okay, now look. Control F. Okay. So I'm saying just creating some table. I'll say what partition by, instead of saying hash, I'll say what round. But are we specifying any column here? Round robin is not partition or any column wise. If you use hash, what it will say? You're saying column name is employee ID. Then it takes all the values of the employee, split them equally, then put it into different partition. If it is range based on the date values or year or month. But when you say round robin, we are not specifying any column. No column is used for creating round robin partition. You just say what? How many? 4. It is just saying I want 4 blocks in my table. That's it. And ఒక block ఈ data ఉండాలని మనం చెప్పడం లేదు. I just say I want 4 blocks in my table. That's it. My programming or application which is running on HANA will control the usage of each block depending on the requirement. When I say 4 parties, when I say round robin, create me 4 partitions, I'm not saying any column name. So based on the column values, we are not partitioning the table here. I'm just creating 4 blocks in my table. An application which is running on this HANA database will decide which block should be used when. We don't decide, or HANA will not decide on it. Okay. So I'm just creating 4 parties. I'm just creating this. And I'm just inserting this data. We cannot control which block this data gets in. Yeah. Say round robin. If you go to the runtime information, it's a round robin 4, and you see it has put, what is this? 4 records here and 2 records here. How many records did I insert? Yeah, 6. But we never had a control why it is taking 4 here, why it is taking 2. We never had a control. So this control will be done by the application which is using this table. And even when you're creating the partition with UI, you don't have option of round robin. Round robin can be created only from the SQL statement or from the application. Let's say you're working on BW. Let's say you're writing you want to create some table in HANA. If I create table in BW, does it create table in HANA? If I have BW on HANA system, so when you're creating a table in application, there you specify I want round robin partitions. Then it creates a table in HANA with what? Round robin partitions. The best example I'll show you now. Let's say I showed you on this already, the schema, SAP ABAP. Do you know what is the schema? What is the schema? What is this? Can I say this is a BW schema I showed you? This is actually the schema which is actually backend of your BW bus, right? So all BW data dictionary will be into this schema. So BW login in a table create చేసిన ఈ schema లో కనిపిస్తుంటాయి. ఇప్పుడు ఏంటంటే పాయింట్ first let's say I am trying to see this table. What is this table here? What is this? /BAC/FSIC. What is this? Is it a fact table of a cube? Normally in BW, when you create a cube, it creates your fact table and dimension tables automatically. Okay? And every fact table is partitioned with round robin. Actually, depth if you remember in the normal cubes, we had E table, F table. When you load data, so people who don't know better for leave it, okay? When you load data gets to F table. When the compression happens, data from F is moved to what? E table. But in case of HANA optimized cube, you don't have E table. You have only F table. But you still have compression concept? Yes, but then how is it handling compression concept? Another question. Getting what I'm saying? So what it does is, when the F table is created, if you see the definition of the F table in the back end, if you go to runtime information, it will actually have round robin partitions created. Round robin partitions created, and if you expand this, you see 1, 2, and 3, and what? 4. You'll have 4 partitions by default. For every info cube we create, it does create F table, fact table, and every fact table will have 4 partitions created in the backend. Okay. So when you load data into the cube, all the data what is loaded will be loaded to the partition number 4. All the data will be loaded into partition number 4. Once you compress the cube, it does aggregate all those, it removes dimension key, then aggregate the records based on the dimension keys and puts the data into partition number 1. So who is controlling whether data should be in partition number 4 or 1? Application is controlling. HANA is nowhere concerned with this. Application vadukuntandi. Ante even though there is no E table, in fact it leverages partition number 4 as F table and partition number 1 as E table. That's the concept. Every see in case of HANA optimized cube, there is no E table. You'll have what? F table. Then you still have compression concept? Yes. Then how is it handling compression concept? Within F table, it will still have round robin partition with 4 partitions. And all the data what you load will get into partition number 4. And once the cube is compressed, it will take data from 4 to what? 1. Then your question should be, what about 2 and 3? Logically, what about 2 and 3? 2 and 3 will be leveraged only for non-cumulative cubes. Do you know what is non-cumulative cubes? Like inventory cube, any cube which has got non-cumulative keywords is what we call it non-cumulative cube. So if it is non-cumulative cube, again when you load data will go into what? 4. If it is non-cumulative cube, do you compress with marker or without marker? When you compress with marker, the data is the initial stacks will go into partition number 2, and when you compress without marker, all the movements will get into partition number 3. So partition number 2 and 3 are leveraged only for non-cumulative cubes. If it is cumulative cube, only partition number 1 and 4 are used. Almost like 4 is like F table, 1 is like E table. Compressed data will be in 1 and uncompressed data will be in 4. Okay, now that's a point. Next is that partition number 2 and 3 are leveraged only for non-cumulative cubes only. 2 is for initial stacks and 3 is for holding all the movements. Okay. Now question is, now why do we do compression in the cube? He's saying about query performance, you are saying about reducing space. Good. Reducing space a little bit was justifiable, but mainly our purpose would be on what? Query performance. But now when it comes to HANA, I told you, your fact table is a column store table. Even though data is in detailed format, can it still handle the performance? And it is a column store table. Even though there are duplicates, internally in the backend database, is it storing duplicates or it's storing only unique values? Unique values. So in what way is it helping you in saving the database space when you do compression? No, even though you don't do compression, even if you have duplicate values, it is just storing all unique values if it is column store tables. Then why are you still doing compression? You're handling query performance. But what I'm saying, even though the table is in detailed format, HANA can handle the performance. Then why do you want to do compression? In case of HANA, BW on HANA or unoptimized cubes, what is the importance of performing compression? That's the question. We are not compressing cube to handle query performance. It might give a minimal effect on the query performance because in HANA, when you have column store table, even though the table is detailed, you know how it stores each column. It can still handle the performance. Even though the table is very detailed, it can still handle the performance without compression the cube. Then why am I doing compression on BW on HANA case? That's the question. Okay, to improve performance of your delta merging. Imagine now, let's say you created a cube. How many partitions you have? 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all the data what you load will get it which partition was? Partition number 4. If you compress, the data is moved from partition number 4 to what? 1. Otherwise, still in 4 only. Let's say you have loaded 1 lakh records to partition number into the cube. All the 1 lakh will be in which partition now? 4. Now you do merging. So does it have main table, delta table for every partition? Yes or no? So now partition number 4 has got 1 lakh records in the delta tables. It does do merging and replace on what? 1 lakh records. Let's say you've not compressed. Again, you're loading 10 lakh records. Again, the data is loaded which partition? 4. Again, you perform merging. So merging is again performed on which partition? Partition number 4 with how many records being manipulated? 11 lakh records. Again, you load 1 lakh. Even if you load 5 records now, to process merging for 5 records, I'm handling how many records now? 11 lakhs plus 5 lakh records. Instead of doing that, before loading these 5 records, if I do compression, it takes this 11 lakh records and put into what? Partition number 1. And when I load the new data, the 5 records will be loaded to which partition? 4. Now, partition number 1 has got how many records? The 5 records. So, does it do merging only for those 5 records in this partition bus? Am I improving performance of merging? So, in order to improve the performance of merging, we will do compression by HANA optimized cubes. If it is BW HANA. If it is without HANA, we would do compression to improve query performance. But if it is HANA, I am doing compression on the cube to improve the performance of merging, not the query performance. Okay, boss? You'll doubt here. Fisk, okay. So we can create hash partition. It says, can you create hash partition multiple columns? Did I create already? Because, but only thing is, all those multiple columns must be part of primary cubes. Yeah, hash partition must be done on only primary key columns. Yes. Here I can. So hash partition must be done only on the primary key columns. And if you have multiple columns as primary key, I can leverage multiple columns and leverage hash partitioning also. Fiscal month is not possible, either normal month, calendar year month, or year or date function. If we have both date fields and other fields as primary key, which one should we go for? See, even when you're creating hash partitioning on some date field or month field, it must be part of primary key, otherwise no. Even if you, I don't know how many of you remember, can we do partitioning on a cube? You know how to create partitions on a cube. We used to create on calendar year month or fiscal year period. Yeah. Yeah. Now tell me, can I see in the cube all characteristics are primary key? The behavior of cube is additive. It means what? All characteristics are key. Dimension keys indirectly all my characteristics are keys. So when I'm using calendar year month or fiscal year period, which is a characteristic, those are part of primary key. So I'm able to leverage it for partitioning bus. So I can only do range partitioning on only those columns which are part of primary key only. I may not use complete qualified primary key. At least it has to be part of primary key. Yeah. 5 partitions will store in same server only. Are there as there is 5 server? See. In my case, I have got only one index server, so all 5 partitions or 5 or 4 are created on the same index server only. Does not make sense of hash partitioning in this case. But in a multi-node distributed architecture where I've got multiple index servers, and I would like to split the content of table across multiple nodes, across multiple servers, so that I can do load distribution or processing multiple deploy parallelism bus. In that case, I'll go with hash partitioning, where you can also specify number of servers. Number of partitions equal to number of servers. Any server unte and partition partition server lo kuchuntundi. How the data will be distributed in the control bus. Because when you're creating hash partitioning, you specify the primary key column. So with the help of primary key column, can it identify unique records? So then it splits the number of records based on some certain logic and posts them into different nodes. Suppose I've got 20 employees employee number 1 to 4 partition 1, 5 to 10 it's all the logic of the system. It divides, but it does leverage the values of that column and then splits those records and put each records into different partitions. Are you able to see partition wise data? Partition wise data so actually partition is all internal built in. It's not for you, but no. You cannot see exactly the data, which data belongs to which partition. At exact partition like data but you can see row count. That's it. Yeah. See, it is nowhere you are not concerned whether which data is coming from which block. It only improves your reading performance and delta merge performance when you partition your tables. Yeah. Saving disk size. Yeah, I think he is focusing on why do we do compression. One of the aspect could be saving your disk. Yeah. But main point is about if it is BW or HANA, you're compressing the cube to improve delta merge performance, not for query or not for database performance. So this is range and partitioning. Next is about altering table. See, in fact, we're discussing on DML statements first. One we have seen about create statement, creating table. Now I would like to show you on altering the table. Let's see, already created a table. How do I change the definition of the table? By using the statement called alter. So create is one SQL statement which we use it to create most of the database object. Let's say you want to create table, you'll say create table. You want to create a view, you'll say create a view. You want to create a procedure, you'll say what? Create procedure. You want to create a function, you'll say create function. You want to create a sequence, you'll say create sequence. You want to create a trigger, you'll say create run it, create or not. When you want to create a new object, new database object. When you want to alter the definition of the object, then I use what? Alter. Alter table, alter sequence, alter trigger, all those stuff. So I'm focusing on altering the definition of the tables. ఈరోజు మీకు హాలిడే నా బస్ కాదు లేదా okay, so I'm just creating a table with employee ID, employee name and what? Department number. Okay, just so create this table. So the table name is employee tab for alter. So this is my table I've just created with what? ID, a name and what? Department number. Okay, and it's a what? Column store table. Now first thing is I already have a column called department name where the length of it is what? The department number. Sorry. I only have department number. I would like to add one more column to this table saying what? Department name with some varchar and some length 20. Can I alter this table with the UI? In right click on this table and say what? Edit, and you will say add, and then you will specify the column. When you want to add a new column to the table, you can alter the table by even from the UI also, or I can alter it from the by using SQL statement called alter. Alter the table. Which table do you want to alter? This is the name of the table. Okay. And then what alteration do you want to do? Alter table so and so. What alteration do you want to do for this table? Add. Okay. Add indicates you want to add a new column. And just give the column details. I want a column name as what? Department name, and the data type is varchar of what? 20. So this will change the definition. If I go in and refresh, I should see a new column. Department name, varchar, and set 20. I could have added a new column to table either with the UI, UI. Right click, you can edit and చెప్పడం అనొచ్చా ఎడిట్ అని చెప్పడం ఇక్కడ ఇన్సర్ట్ అనేసి కాలం పేరు పెట్టి varchar 20 అట్లా కూడా చేసి ఉండొచ్చు. I could have added new column from the UI also. Next one. Then I would like to drop a column. Let's say there's already a table with some column, and I would like to remove that column. In this case, now it's quite opposite. I just want to remove this column back. Okay, can I do that with you also? Edit and bitti. Select this column and say what? Remove column anacha. I could do this with UI also. If you want to do that with SQL, say alter table so and so. What alteration do you want to do? You want to add or drop? Drop, remove things. So I'll say what? Drop and the name of the column. So this will basically remove a column which is already there in the table. So it will remove this column name, department. Done. So that's about dropping. Next is I would like to change the definition of a column. Say I already have a department number where it says varchar of what is the length here? 5. I would like to increment the length from 5 to 10. I would like to modify the definition of an existing column in a table. Can I still do this here with this R edit? And I make this instead of 5. It's not allowing me. So I'll say what? Alter table so and so. Do you want to add a column or do you want to drop it or do you want to change the column? Change is what? Use a keyword what? Alter. Alter and then say what? Department number with the new date. What is varchar 10? See boss, when the varchar length is 5, you can set it to 10 or whatever. But I can't change the column definition from, let's say, if the data is integer to varchar to integer, not possible. And let's say you defined a column with certain data. Within the same data, we can increase the definition of the column. But I can't convert, say I've created a table with the column of data with integer. I can't convert that to varchar. Let's say I've created a table with the column of varchar. I can't convert that to integer. That is not possible. Let's say I created a column with, say, data as int. I can make it as big int. Let's say I've got a column with varchar 10. I can increase that. I can increase the data of similar data type only. I can't change from integer to varchar integer, not possible. So I've got this with varchar 5 and changing it to varchar 10, and then it changes length from varchar 10. And then now it is an integer here. I want to make it as big int. Big int, it changes bit combination, 16 bit. Now it is big int, right? I can't say I want to convert this to varchar, not possible. Okay. Okay, next primary key clear. Okay. Now look at this. I don't have any primary key in this table. Now I would like to, while creating table, I have not specified any primary key. Now I would like to specify that this table is going to be what? A primary key. Yeah. I can add a constraint, say order table. What alteration do you want to do? I would like to add a constraint, say what? Add constraint PK, which is primary key. Which column you want as primary key was? Employed. That's why you can alter the table by adding a new primary key column. So now this will be indicated as primary key was. And now I want to remove the primary key. I'll say what? Alter table so and so and what? I'll say drop primary key. I'll remove it. We'll see this. It is chala important. Very important. Do you know what is load and unload? What is load and unload? If I execute the statements, if I say load this table, means what? The data of this table will be loaded from disk to what? Main memory. If I say unload, the data from this table will be unloaded. For this loading, do we have some concept of full load, partial load? Full load means all the columns of the table are loaded. When I load only some columns of the table to main memory, that is called partial. I can do that also. Let's say I've got table with 100 columns. If I say load this table, say column 1, column 2 into main memory, that is like partial load. Only some columns of the table are loaded. If I say load the table, then where I'm loading all the columns of the table to main memory, then I call it as what? Full load. So load is a statement where I explicitly bring the content of a table into what? Main memory, or drop. Unload is for removing the data from main memory. You know all this. Now good. Now question is, let's say you had some server and the server is down. When the server is down, the entire RAM is free. There's no data in the RAM bus. Yes or no? Now I switch on the server bus. When I switch on the server, when the server is switched on, all your system tables, which are row store tables, will be loaded into main memory by default. When you initially switch on the server, all your system tables, which are row store, will be loaded into main memory by default. And all other application tables, like your customer table, sales table, all those tables are not loaded into main memory at all. They will be in disk only. Then when will this get loaded? Then two options. If we explicitly execute a statement saying load this table, then it loads those table into main memory. That is one option. One more option, if you don't load explicit, one option is explicitly loading the table into what? Main memory. That is one option. Okay. Let's say you've not done explicit loading. What you do is the table is still in the disk bus. When you run some reporting and it gets to the RAM, it doesn't find the table. During first fetch on the table, it does load the table into main memory and then brings it. That is one way of doing it. నువ్వు సర్వర్ ఆన్ చేసినా ఉన్నా ఏ టేబుల్ ఇంకా ర్యామ్ లోకి రాలేదు, అన్ని డిస్క్ లో ఉన్నాయి. డిస్క్ లో ఉండే ర్యామ్ లో తెచ్చేది మల్టిపుల్ ఆప్షన్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఒకటేంది ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్ గా సీక్వెల్ నువ్వు కమాండ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేస్తావు. లోడ్ దిస్ టేబుల్ పార్షల్ ఫుల్ ఏదైనా కానీ లోడ్ దిస్ టేబుల్ అంటే ఏమైంది, that explicitly you're loading this table from disk to main memory. That is one explicit loading. Let's say you've not done any explicit loading, you've just switched on the server and all my tables are in my disk column, and you've not done any explicit loading. You run the reporting bus. At the time of reporting, if it doesn't find any table if it doesn't find the table data in the main memory, it reads from the disk. During the first fetch on the table from the disk, it loads those table into main memory and then takes it back to the report. మన ఓలా క్యాష్ ఫిల్ చేసినట్టు అన్న, ఫస్ట్ ర్యామ్ లో లేదనుకో డిస్క్ లో రీడ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఒక కాపీ ర్యామ్ లో పెట్టి తీసుకెళ్తాను. అంటే ఫస్ట్ ఫెచ్ నువ్వు టేబుల్ రీడ్ చేసినప్పుడు అప్పుడు ర్యామ్ ఫిల్ అవుతుంటుంది. అంటే వాట్ ఆర్ ద డేటా యు రెడ్ దట్ విల్ బి లోడెడ్, పార్షల్ లోడింగ్. ఇది కాన్సెప్ట్ అర్థమైంది కదా. ఇప్పుడు నా ఇంటెన్షన్ ఏమంటే నా టేబుల్ చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్, బికాస్ every time I switch on the server, I might forget to load this table explicitly or whatever it is, but this table is critical. So what I want to do is, when I switch on the server, how my system loads all the system tables into my into memory. Similar way, I need to flag one of my application table also as preload. నేను సర్వర్ ఆన్ చేసినప్పుడు ఎట్లయితే సిస్టమ్ టేబుల్స్ అన్నింటినీ మెమరీలోకి లోడ్ చేస్తుందో అలాగా ఒక అప్లికేషన్ టేబుల్ కూడా కన్సిడర్ చేసి అది కూడా లోడ్ చేసి పెట్టాలి సర్వర్ ఆన్ చేసినప్పుడు ప్రతిసారి. So what I'll do for this table, I need to enable preload flag on. I need to switch on the preload flag. When I switch on the preload flag, what happens? When you switch on the server, it loads all your system tables, row store tables, and also all the application tables for which the preload flag is been enabled. అప్పుడు నువ్వు ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్ గా లోడ్ స్టేట్మెంట్ రన్ చేయని అవసరం లేదు, ఫస్ట్ ఫెచ్ అవసరం లేదు. సర్వర్ ఆన్ అయినప్పుడు ఈ టేబుల్ మెమరీలోకి లోడ్ అయి పడి ఉంటుంది అన్నమాట. ఏది సిస్టమ్ టేబుల్స్ తో పాటు మన టేబుల్ కూడా లోడ్ అయిపోయి ఉంటుంది అన్నమాట మెమరీలో. సో సర్వర్ ఆన్ చేసినప్పుడు సిస్టమ్ టేబుల్స్ తో పాటు మన టేబుల్ కూడా లోడ్ అయి ఉండాలంటే we need to enable preload property for this table. When any table for which the preload property is switched on, but during the server being switched on, this table will be loaded into main memory bus. That's the concept. So given a table, how do we switch on the preload flag? Another point. This is while creating database table, I cannot do this. It has to be done with alter statement. Look at this. I'll say పార్సల్ ఉండొచ్చు, ఫుల్ చేయొచ్చు అన్నట్టు. అంటే చూడన్నా మై టేబుల్ హెస్ గాట్ 3 కాలమ్స్, ఎంప్లాయీ ఐడి, ఎంప్లాయీ నేమ్ అండ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ నంబర్. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు ఏమంటారంటే ఆల్టర్ టేబుల్, ఓకే, preload emp name and department number. Means what? I am loading all the columns of I am setting up. ఇప్పుడు preload అన్నప్పుడు లోడ్ అవుతుందా, స్విచ్ సర్వర్ స్విచ్ అయినప్పుడు ఇది లోడ్ చేయాలని చెప్తున్నాము. సర్వర్ స్విచ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఈ టేబుల్లో ఈ కాలమ్స్ మాత్రం మెమరీకి లోడ్ కావాలని చెప్తున్నాం, లోడ్ చేయడం లేదు. By using this option preload, I am not loading this table into main memory as of next. I am not doing any explicit loading. I am only switching on the property in the table when the server has been switched on. Apart from the system tables, it also has to load this application table with these columns into my main memory. Only flag enable చేస్తున్నాం, లోడ్ చేయడం లేదు అన్నట్టు. లోడ్ ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్ లోడ్ చేయాలంటే అది వేరే స్టేట్మెంట్, లోడ్ అని వేరే ఉంటుంది అన్నట్టు. ఓకే, ఆల్టర్ టేబుల్ సో అండ్ సో, preload so and so means what? Only these 2 columns of it. Is this partial loading? We are only switching on partial load on this table for preload. So when I switch on the server, apart from loading the system tables of HANA, it will also load these 2 columns of this table into main memory. That is preload of this columns. That is preload all on anko. Alter this table preload. So for this table, preload is switched on completely, full load. Appudendi మొత్తం టేబుల్ కంటెంట్ అంతా లోడ్ అవుతుంది ఎప్పుడు సర్వర్ స్విచ్ చేసినాం, ఆన్ చేసినాం. ఓకే సార్ ప్లీజ్ see whatever I've spoken in English, I'm just was repeating in Telugu. There's nothing you've missed in, don't worry. Okay, yeah, but now I'm just saying preload all అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, when I switch off the server, you know, we can switch this off, switch off the server, and when I switch it on, I should see even this table will be loaded to main memory by default. And when I enable preload flag this, okay. But when I execute the table preload, it doesn't mean that it does not load as of now. It is not explicit loading. It is only switching on the property of the table as preload, so that when the server is being switched on, apart from the system tables, it does load this table also into main memory bus. That's the concept. I showed you this. Let's say this table is a column store table, and I would like to alter this table to change this table to what? Row. But I can't do the change the table type from the UI. We can do with what? SQL. Alter this table. Alter the table type as what? Row. That's it. If you see now, this becomes what? Roast. What does it say? Roast. Okay. We can also say you can also use alter statement to add a partition or drop a partition also. Let's say range part month. I have this table. You remember man June or betti, July got betti, no August to betti. August to betti, no June or August, and there's now for this table I would like to add one more partition for September. So then I'll say what? I alter this table, add what? Partition, the value is equal to September. So it does it create one more partition for this table? For September. Let's say now sometimes you see that some partitions are it's important point. A lot of times you see a lot of partitions have been unused. Deleting that partition is also one of the housekeeping activities. Even our September partition is actually block awesome. Why do I need to allocate some memory for it? So I can delete. So alter table, drop partition. So when you say add, it adds new partition. When you say drop, it drops that partition. So now partition number September has been deleted. I come to that all his doubts. So let me finish this. You remember auto merge? While creating database table, can you specify auto merge to be enabled or not? No auto merge just to be seen. Let's say you created it. Let's say you created a table where you have enabled auto merge. But later you decided this for this table I don't want auto merge. Then what you should do? I should disable. Then I'll say alter the table so and so, disable auto merge. Let's say while creating table you have switched off the auto merge, but later you decide I want to enable the auto merge. Then what will say? Alter this table so and so, enable auto merge. The switch on flag button. No table create just let's say while creating table, you are not. Let's say you control it to say switch off the merge, auto merge. Then later I would like to execute alter statement to switch it on or anyway off loan on cheyadam on loan off cheyadam alter statement change. Okay. This is just about disabling or enabling this. Okay. And then this is let's say you created a table with unload priority as 9, so it does unload earliest, but I want to change the priority to 6. Alter table, unload priority 6. So even after the table is created, and I can customize the properties of disabling or enabling the auto merge, and also unload priority options also can be corrected out. But this about preload or load can be controlled only from alter statement only. While creating table, you don't have preload control. We cannot control the preload statement. It has to be controlled only from alter statement alone. Okay, boss. Like in above, we have help document P code. Is there a help document HANA for all? Yeah. I'll show you that. You're asking, is there any? Now, okay. So now you understood. I should know the complete syntax of all this SQL statement. Where do I get? నా దగ్గర లేదనుకుంటా గూగుల్లోకి వెళ్తే SAP HANA don't say script, say SQL. You want PDF కదా మనకి yeah PDF file, but look at this. This is you'll have systems and views reference అని ఉంటుంది అన్నట్టు. In the help.html you'll have the system views reference. Yeah? దీంట్లో ప్రతి స్టేట్మెంట్ ఉంటుంది క్రియేట్ టేబుల్ ఆల్టర్ టేబుల్ ఇన్ ఆల్టర్ టేబుల్ ఇఫ్ యూ గెట్ ఇన్ డీటెయిల్స్ ఇట్ షోస్ a lot of options into it. I have the PDF, but it's on a different system. This is PDF. This is save it. It's on a PDF. Time, but ఈ PDF ఉంటుందని ఇట్లా సిస్టమ్ SQL సిస్టమ్ వ్యూస్ అని ఉంటుంది. దీంట్లో it gives you all the SQL statements and syntax of each of this and explains in detail. నేను రేపు నాకు వేరే సిస్టమ్ ఉందా PDF అది చూపిస్తాను. అది హెల్ప్ గురించి. దెన్ వాట్ వాజ్ అదర్ క్వశ్చన్? ఇది మంచి క్వశ్చన్. ఈజ్ ఆస్కింగ్, లెట్స్ సే you don't know someone has switched on the preload or switched off it or auto merge is enabled or not, unload operative, I don't know, but anything you set up, it must store the details into some standard table in the backend, like metadata. BW set just it, all options are set up in some table, right? It's stored in some tables. Atla you will have some system table called tables and out on the boss. Select star from this will have information about all the tables. So you'll have a table called tables from a schema called system schema, and this will have information about every table what you metadata on it. The table auto-merge enable in the leda, you unload priority emundi, you can see all those properties in this option. For example, మనం auto-merge disable చేద్దాం. For example, select James. Okay, now I want to see details of this table. Okay, table column table underscore name, schema underscore name. Okay, this is select start from tables where table underscore name is equal to so and so, and schema underscore name is equal to what? 8 cubics. Now fire this. You won't get details of this. So this is not column, right? Single quotes. It's a value. So if it's string, single quotes. If it is column name or table name, double quotes. Now you see schema name is 8 cubics and the table name is so and so. And what is the type of table it is? Column store table. Right. You will see detailed information about the partitioning of this table. Right. Auto merge note. What is preload false? If you basically say alter table so and so preload all ante, then this probably will be set as what? True. Here you can know whether this table has been set for preload flag or not. Okay, is preload. Is preload at a full load? Is partial preload at some columns of a table? You understand these two columns? And here you see unload priority. Unload priority of this table is set as what? 5. Either table name by alter table unload priority to 9 ante, but this table gets modified with unload priority. Auto merge note. Here it tells you whether auto merge has been on. If the false undi, I switch disabled kada. Same adi ఇప్పుడు నేను చేస్తా enable అంటే అది పోతే ట్రూ అనాలి ఇప్పుడు. ఎట్లన్నా now it says what? True. Now unload priority 5 అని చూపిస్తాం కదా. ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తుంది unload priority 9 చేస్తా. And I should see this table showing me unload priority as what? 9. Okay. Other table ki preload I'll say just preload. For the same table I'll set preload what? I'll enable this preload all. Okay? So when I switch on the server, this must be preloaded flag should be enabled. Is preloaded. Now is preload is set to what? True. Atla. You can see all the properties what has been switched on enabled from this system table called tables in the backend. Okay. So can you say about unload priority? Unload priority and see once the table is loaded to main memory, once the memory is getting filled, it has to unload some database. Now which table it has to unload first depends on the unload priority. And higher the priority, the more quicker it is unloaded. Can we do the preloading using UI? That's what see preload ante it is a property what is set to a table which indicates that when the server is switched on along with the system tables even this table must be loaded. No not preload అనకూడదు టేబుల్ మనం లోడ్ చేయొచ్చా అనొచ్చు if I load it చూడు ఈ టేబుల్ రైట్ క్లిక్ కొడితే ఒక ఆప్షన్ ఉంది నాకు లోడ్ అంటే ఏంది this is like explicitly I'm saying I want this table to be loaded into main memory. That is a data manipulation state. It's explicit loading. If I don't do anything, during first fetch, anyway it loads in. నాకు అట్లా సర్వర్ స్విచ్ అన్నప్పుడు ఇది ఖచ్చితంగా లోడ్ కావాలంటే అప్పుడు వీల్ సెట్ ద టేబుల్ as what ప్రీలోడ్ అది కాన్సెప్ట్ ఓకే ఇది రైట్ క్లిక్ కొట్టి లోడ్ కొడితే ఇది యూఐ కదా బస్ ఐఎమ్ లోడింగ్ దిస్ టేబుల్ టు టేబుల్ విత్ యూఐ దిస్ ద ఆప్షన్ కాంట్ వి డూ ద ప్రీలోడింగ్ యూజ్ అదేలే ఇదే రైట్ క్లిక్ కొట్టి యూఐ కొట్టేది ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు యాక్సెస్ వీడియోస్ ఇది వేరే క్వశ్చన్ ఓకే సో డిఫరెన్స్ 5 and 9 at 9 at earliest remove from the main memory and it's 5 next priority. So we'll stop it here. This about partitioning and altering table was. Do we have a rollback option? Rollback option database definition ఇప్పుడు నువ్వే నాకు చెప్పు in BW you created a cube you change the cube మళ్ళీ బ్యాక్ వెళ్ళిపోవడం నువ్వు ఏం చేయాలి మళ్ళీ నువ్వు తీయాల్సిందే డేటా పోతే పిఎస్ నుంచి రీలోడ్ చేయొచ్చు అది రోల్ బ్యాక్ విల్ బి ఫర్ డేటా మ్యానిపులేషన్ నాట్ ఫర్ డేటా డెఫినేషన్ యూ విల్ నాట్ you cannot roll back the definitions of the database objects only data can be rolled back okay that is different so we'll stop it and tomorrow we'll get on to other like views and synonyms and all those stuff okay
Within our operations we can go and see tables also.
Yeah you can use whatever I'm saying, showing out creating table, all this you can control it on any schema, whether it is BW schema or ECS schema. In fact, actually, when you get on real time, you may not create the tables like this. Physically, you may not, but database at the minimum knowledge on the table. Because at least if you know all this, you will be in a position to understand the table which is already created at least. Because the tables will get created in HANA when you replicate. When you replicate through BODS or SLT, automatically the table gets created from the source system. But at least by looking at the table, you should be in a position to understand, okay, this table of partitions unnai, this global table, these columns unnai, the primary key, rendu kalisi composite key. You should be able to understand the table, so you're learning all this. Literally, in the real time, you very less opportunity that you end up creating your own custom table, very less. Adi. But only when you have this knowledge, you'll be in a position to understand the table which is already there, existing table. మొత్తం టేబుల్ గురించి తెలిస్తే కదా ఉన్న టేబుల్ అర్థం చేసుకోగలుగుతాం అది పాయింట్ ఓకేనా and don't worry about the syntaxing. There's a PDF which you'll get, but syntax always you get from Google. When I want to create a database table, I should use statement create table. Google like syntax for create table HANA no copy, change your column in data tables. No one is what syntax good rule because in that good నేను ఓపెన్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ సింటాక్స్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలా హనా సింటాక్స్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి ఎంఎస్ ఎస్క్యూఎల్ ఇట్స్ నాట్ సో మచ్ ఓకే maximum try to look at those because create table and all this is very rarely used okay but if you look at data manipulation statements about select insert delete upsert load unload all those you have to be really strong but data definition about once in a while use or create table or alter tables or drop those okay you can always get the syntax from Google. But if it is data manipulation, we are expected to be really strong because most of your scripting will be based on that data manipulation status. That would select barring. Okay, boss. Fine. We'll stop it. Tomorrow we'll continue, boss. Thanks.